What is up, Watch fam? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this week's episode of Ask TNH Live. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and we are live on Instagram, so let's get into some questions. All right, before I start firing off answers to the questions that are being fired off at me from our Instagram, which you should all follow, quick wristwatch check. I am wearing a yellow gold Rolex Submariner reference 1680. I just got this watch last week. It was actually one of the first watches I ever saw and was like impressed by in the gut. You know what I mean? I started my Instagram, I watch Instagram like 3 years ago, and there was this famous account in the watch Instagram world at the time called Cucumber, and Cucumber was like this, rich guy from, I don't know, Connecticut or something like that. I just said that weird. And the 1680 in yellow gold was one of his watches. And I remember him seeing it. I remember seeing his watch, like on these windowsill shots and saying, holy shit. Because even like, once again, like I'll get really into the watch tomorrow on Lug to Lug and really why I love it intellectually. But even just in a raw, like, that's a hunk of gold and it's not as flashy as a new watch is. It's a hunk of vintage gold, and it has this cloudiness to it that a brand new Rolex doesn't have. It just has just a level of interest. I mean, the thing was manufactured in like 1972. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to have the same blingy appeal as something from, 2016. Not to knock something from 2016. I would buy a yellow gold, date tomorrow from 2016. But they appeal to a different itch. You know what I mean? If you really get into the details, it appeals to a different itch. So let's get into our first question. Thoughts on Ralph Lauren watches? I love Ralph Lauren watches. First of all, the Ralph Lauren watch line is definitely has huge variation, right? The watches that I love most are the Slim Classique. They come in two different sizes, I believe 42 and 38. Both, I guess, I would go to 38, but equally gorgeous. They're ultra thin watches, beautiful black sleek alligator straps, guilloche dials, as well as I would imagine the pattern's called guilloche as well on the white gold cases, but these beautifully finely detailed cases, and the movements are powered by Piaget. On just a raw, like, is this a beautiful thing level, like without going intellectually, yes. If you appreciate classic design, if you appreciate watches that like Jay Gatsby would wear in real life if he was walking down Park Avenue today, like, that's it. If I were to ever create a watch brand without profitability in mind, right, just to kind of, I don't know, check it off my bucket list, right, probably do the thing that would bring me an incredible amount of joy and not care if I make $1 on, it would basically be exactly what he's doing, in principle. Not to say I would necessarily make the same dress watches, but doing what you do well and nothing else is great, right? Ralph Lauren is not going to make a movement, right? Can he afford to? Well, of course. It could cost like a couple $1 million, $4 million to probably develop a movement. I've heard that before. I just rattled that off, but I've heard that statistic cited. It can cost a couple $1 million. Ralph Lauren's got a couple $1 million in his pocket. It's not a big deal. But it's the idea that Piaget does this already. I'm not me being Christian Zerone, me being Ralph Lauren, I'm not a movement manufacturer. Yeah, they're interesting and I want the best, but that's not my thing. My thing is that design. My thing is to find a way to, manipulate or make these cases out of white gold and yellow gold and bring my imagination, to reality. And of course, my imagination is made up of, your personal opinion, which has been influenced by 1,000 other people's designs. No question. It's not yours originally necessarily. But that would be amazing. That's what I would do. So when I see Ralph Lauren doing that, I say, you are just a way wealthier version, or you're doing something that I would do if I was as wealthy as you are. You know what I mean? It's just a game. For that guy at this time, this is just like I don't know. It's like the same way that we would just do something so casually, like, oh, I'm going to buy 3 straps and mess around, or I'm going to buy a bunch of leather and stitch some straps together because it's fun and I have some time after work. He creates an incredible watch brand, and something that genuinely I don't think will ever get serious traction, as far as like on the retail end. But Ralph Lauren watches, particularly the Slim Classique, will probably always be secondhand market gold mines. Which of the big three, AP, Vacheron, Patek Philippe, do you think represents the most value? Good question. Not Patek. I think Vacheron on the new end, mostly because they're consistently innovating at aggressive price points. Right? They're bringing out, not to say that their triple calendars are better than comps from AP and from Patek. But the fact that they're new and original to me brings a lot of value. So I think that Vacheron does that. I think that the Vacheron Patrimony line brings more value than the Patek Calatrava line. Maybe just in styling. Maybe just in styling. The fact that it's not Patek, and I know that the prices are lower. I'm having a hard time remembering the retail prices, but I know the secondhand prices are a lot lower. You can grab a secondhand, Patrimony, probably like in the 15 grand range, whereas the Calatravas, they're several $1,000s higher. So it's noteworthy. As far as the vintage world, AP also brings a lot of value. A vintage AP Royal Oak, which you can get between $8,000 and $12,000, is phenomenal. That's just, come on. How do you beat that value? You're talking about a watch that is probably closer to the original imagination of Genta. A watch that, because of its scarcity, is probably going to be worth more in the future. At $10,000 to $12,000 or $8,000 to $12,000, comparable to AP brand new prices. What? 15, 16, 18, 20, 25, so to me on the vintage market, it's a tie between AP and Vacheron, but on the new market, it's definitely Vacheron. That being said, it's hard to scratch the Patek itch. That's for sure. Obviously a Liquor Run fan here. Who would win in a fight, me or my dad? It's kind of funny. You know what? My dad's a pretty tough guy, believe it or not. My dad's pretty scrappy. He's from East New York, Brooklyn, which is probably one of, if you know this area, probably one of the biggest, toughest ghettos, in our neck of the woods. So my dad, although he seems kind of like, corporate and super like playful and fun, I'd be scared of my dad. And then what's worse, he'd sue me after. Even if I sucker punched him, I'd have a lawsuit in the mail. So that's it. You guys should definitely start watching Liquor Run now. Liquor Run has quickly become one of our most popular segments on YouTube, and rightfully so. My dad's an awesome guy. He's a super fun. He's a super fun guy. He's a guy that really likes to just like kick back and release, once a week, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And he makes an effort to do it. I also like to kick back, but sometimes you forget, you get so caught up in work and stuff and beating yesterday that it's like, it's just late, it's late and you forgot to do it. Like right now, it's a Sunday night at 10 o'clock and I definitely wanted to be hanging out and drinking right now. Like, that's what I want. I want to be hanging out in my living room with a glass of wine or a glass of scotch, relaxing. My dad is doing that. I'm working. But that's is what it is. One more. Have you told the story of your Breitling? I inherited a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage recently. It's a very cool watch. I'll do a review on it soon. But yeah, that's it. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Ask T&H Live. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe on YouTube if you enjoyed this video for more videos. Watch geeky and like this.